Vous l'attendez? Il est là, Monsieur Duane Michals.
I will now do the blessing of the audience. Bonne nuit, mon petit chou. That's all my French, I'm sorry. Or maybe you're lucky. I live in New York and I also live in the country. And down the road from my house is a family, and they have two little girls. And one day, I was in the garden, and the little girls came to visit, and they began to tell me all their family secrets. And Marianne doesn't like me, but she likes my sister. And then she suddenly said, "My cousin Billy touched me on my privates." I said, "What? Your cousin Billy touched..." I said, "Did you tell your mother?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And I said, "You must never, ever let anybody touch you on your privates unless they give you candy or money." And then I thought, I should do a children's book. I'm a natural. I'm 77 years old, and I will soon die in 10 years. Woo! Anyway, I still got the moves. Anyway, I know what I'm going to have on my tombstone. It's going to say, "Having a wonderful time, wish you were here." I had a terrible class yesterday. I had a nasty, vicious, evil students. I've never seen such bad students. And when I told them that I was not going to look at their photographs because I didn't like them, one of the students bit me on the arm. It was terrible. Luckily, I had taken some shots for student bites. And then I had another student who claimed to be a doctor from London. And he said if I would go in the closet with him, he would give me a prostate exam. I didn't go. I don't even think he was a doctor. And then I had another student who was French, and he went on strike. And he would not let anybody leave the school, so we went out the window. Anyway, no, I always have a good time. I wrote a poem about time. Oh, get the segue, good time. I wrote a poem about time. Time is such a funny thing. It's like a hole inside a ring. It's always now and never then. But when I say it's now again, it's never now but always then. I'm always here and never there. But when I go from here to there, then there is here and here is there. And if you think you're very tall, besides a tree, you're not at all. And if you think you're very small, besides a bee, you're 10 feet tall. When we dream, we seem awake, but all along the dream was fake. I say am I and also me, you say you're I and also me, how can that be? Since I'm not you and you're not me. Time is not what you might think, it isn't in a wink. That's it, ba-dum-bum. Anyway. Anyway, I'm very much interested in time. Watch, pay attention. Attendez, is that right? Attendez. Regardez and attendez. This is now, okay? No, actually, this is now. No, this is really now. No, this is not now. There is no now. Did you notice that? Have you ever noticed that? There is no now. Watch. And guess when I was born? I was born now. And when I was in the Army, it's now, and now it's now. And guess what I'm going to die? I'm going to die now. But when I say now, it's not now. What the hell's that? Do you ever think about that? What do you think about? Have you ever thought about thoughts? Thoughts are amazing. Where do they come from? So I hear voices. Do you hear voices? Mine say kill, kill. Anyway, I don't believe in appearances. I don't believe in what people look like. I don't believe in portraits. Oh, and I'm an atheist. I love being an atheist. Thank God I'm an atheist. Anyway, I'm going to show you these photographs, and I've seen them all before. So if I go too fast, let me know. Okay? And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. This is Take One in Simon Fujiyama. It was a very hot day. The book was dull. He was bored. Someone slipped an envelope under the door. There was something peculiar written on it. Take One in Simon Fujiyama. Inside were some pills, and some green pills, and without any hesitation, he gulped down a pill. He felt like a balloon with its air being let out. Instantly, he became 6 inches tall. The door squeaked as an enormous nude woman entered the room behind him. She grew larger and larger as she approached his chair and began to tower over him. She did not see him, and he was excited by her size. His excitement became terror when he realized that she was going to sit on his chair and on him. As her colossal ass descended upon him, he tried to run but was paralyzed. His tiny legs refused to move. He stood frozen with excitement as the gigantic big behind settled down closer and closer. She sat on him. Miraculously, in the darkness, he began to see the snow-covered peak of Mount Fujiyama. You should have been there. This is called The Amazing Rick Dick. Super Sleuth. Richard Gere, Joel Grey, Cindy Crawford, Aaron Taylor. Mr. Dick, let me introduce myself. My name is Richard Richards. My wife, I'm sorry. Oh shit. Okay, my name is Rich. My wife, Ramona Richards, is cheating on me. Oh, here it is. And I want you to find out who her lover is. Here's a check for following my chick. It's $5,000. Rick Dick follows Ramona Richards to a rundown hotel. Richard Richards follows Rick, who is following Ramona Richards. She enters room 109. Rick enters the room and finds Ramona in her lover's arms. Rick is shocked to discover that Ramona's lover is Nick Dick, Rick Dick's younger reckless brother. Rick hears a click. You dicks are, Richard Richards has followed Rick to room 199. You dicks are dead ducks. Rick wrestles the revolver from Richard Richards. Ouch! Richard Richards hits his head on the chest. At that moment, Richard Richards is surprised to realize his true identity. He's not Richard Richards, he's actually Dick Dick, Nick Dick, and Rick Dick's older missing brother. Ramona regrets her romance with Nick and photographs the 3 dicks. Nick claims he was just teaching Ramona a trick. Rick returns Dick's check to Dick, and Dick forgives Ramona and Nick. But I went to Egypt and I built my own pyramid. If you'll notice, mine's bigger than theirs. This is Barbie and the Toad. About 5 years ago, I received a box in the mail from the Mattel Toy Company containing a Barbie doll, and they asked me to do something with it for a fundraiser. And I had never seen a Barbie doll. I thought a Barbie doll was like a cute Cabbage Patch ball, ma, you know. Well, I opened the box, and out steps this 12-inch tall Las Vegas whore. Really, Barbie's a whore. She's a tramp, she's a hoe. Well, check her out. I mean, she's got legs up to here, tits out to there, blonde hair. I mean, what is that? Oh, I know what it is. It's a Versace model. Yeah! While wandering down the road, Barbie met a toad. She could tell by the gleam in his eyes that he must be a prince in disguise. I guess if I give him a kiss, he will be free to marry me, and I will become a princess. And with one kiss, Barbie could plainly see that Toad was indeed royalty. Unfortunately, he was Evil Arnold, the satanic prince of darkness and warts. Oh dear, said Barbie. Ouch! Eek! Oops, sorry. Don't look. Okay. Then, with one big Barbie burp, the evil prince became a frog again. Croak, croak, said the frog. I always wanted to be a blonde. I did a project for French Vogue years ago on quantum physics, and I did a book in Dusseldorf on it. And this is called Dr. Heisenberg's Magic Mirror of Uncertainty. And what happens is, after you go from the protons, neutrons, and electrons, and quarks, and parts, and parts, and narts, and you get smaller muons and gluons, and you get to the very bottom, you get all of this kind of energy. And Heisenberg said that you cannot predict, Heisenberg, the Nazi, I might add, said that you cannot predict with any certainty the position or velocity of a particle. Which, oh boy, everybody's so quiet. Which then went on, Einstein said you cannot, God would not place dice with the universe. I did a series called Einstein Lied, God Does Play. Anyway, it's really not interesting. Odette can never be sure with any certainty which reflection of herself she will see in the mirror. The act of looking in the mirror affects what the image will be. Uncertainty permits the possibility of everything and anything. That is so wonderful. I believe in the possibilities of anything and everything. You know what that means? That means that I and you and all, we invent the universe. If you do not believe in the possibility, nothing will be possible. You must believe in, and if you don't, and it starts here. The buck doesn't end here. It starts here. Everything starts here. You are an event in the universe. You will never be duplicated. You're more important than Jesus and Marilyn Monroe. Or you are the event. You're more important than Paris. Not Paris. Who? Well, anybody. Paris Hilton. Yes, more important than Paris Hilton. But now listen, pay attention. This is so wonderful. In the entire history of the universe, 60, 70, 80 years, we have this breath, this consciousness. We are an event. Buckminster Fuller said, I seem to be a verb. We are an event in the history of the universe. Before us, oblivion. 60, 70, 80 years, which in time isn't even a cosmic fart. And we're out of here. gone, and more oblivion. Our true state is oblivion, consciousness, and being in this reality, in this amazement. Why don't they teach amazement in schools? Why aren't you amazed? You are an amazing creature. Don't you know that? You are. Do it. Be it. This is it. There's no other moment. This is the moment. Like I care. This is called Grandpa Goes to Heaven. Oh, this is funny. This is a series I did called, everybody knows who Cindy Sherman is. This is a series I did, who is Sidney Sherman. Sidney paints his fingernails shocking pink, a brilliantly audacious gesture that exposes the discorroborative gender bias of relevance vacuity, while trenchantly confirming lipstick as a phallic ploy of alpha males vis-a-vis Derrida's tragedies of discoborable. Sidney steals Wittgenstein's Tractatus Logicus Philosophicus, a violently defiant act, not dissimilar in significance to that other revolutionary Luther stand at the church door in Wittenberg, thus assaulting the capitalist paradigm as women as mere charge account chicks, and simultaneously demythifying Wittgenstein's relevance to 21st century epistemological. Sidney provocatively has a bad hair day, displaying a visionary, almost mystical compulsion to redefine the sublimatory vertical axis of the need for follicle correctness while refuting the illegitimate penetration of the warrior male's libidinous, flaccid one-dimensionality, a dialectical, homosexual, heterosexual, dysfunction or dysfunction. Alas, the signifier has lost his significance. Sidney hitchhikes from Spring Street to Green Street, strategically announcing brazen freedom to be, the antithesis of the Cartesian dictum, yes, no, or maybe, by asserting sympathy with Nietzsche's Übermensch oder Überschätze, corroborates the phenomenologist Maurice Pontificate has declared so succinctly, I am what I used to be. This cunningly conceived sexual, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it's funny. Sidney, in his role as artist genius masquerader, astounds again with his self-portrait as Dr. Duane's. I am Dr. Duane's, my pretty, Dr. Duane's is here. Echoing the dynamics of Gertrude Stein's observation that there is no there. Where is there is implied in Sidney's postulating the Steinian enigma in the revisionist stance. This Brechtian conundrum exposes the reality of the gazer's gaze as being essentially unreal, which she also implies Lucan's theory of theorizing on the subjectivity, a concept that has destabilized Sidney's female specificity as essentially de rigueur. And that is called academic language. The New York Times asked me to do something. They asked 5 photographers on July 5th to do something where they thought the country was. I did this about 10 years ago, and this is called Salvation. No American, and this is the most important thing. You must listen to this. If you're sleeping, wake up. This is what you have to notice. No American citizen has the right to impose his private morality on any other American, which is precisely the agenda of some religious, political, blah, blah, blah. And millions of American women have become victims of these churches' attack on their most painful decision, the choice of conscience, whether or not to have abortion. Millions of American homosexuals and lesbians have been victims of these churches' attacks on gay rights legislation, which would simply guarantee them fundamental protection from being denied housing and employment, a privilege assumed by all heterosexual Americans. If one does not have the right to make his body's most intimate choices without fear, then you have no right at all. This is my self-portrait with feminine beard. Think about it. Been there, done that. This is called Things Are Queer. You must realize we live on a queer planet. We are queer creatures. It is a queer universe. It is nothing what you think it is. It's bizarre beyond belief. And yet I don't want photographers to tell me what I already know. I know what snow looks like. I know what tits look like. I know what cars look like. I know what mountains look like. Tell me what I don't know. Tell me about your dreams. Tell me your secrets. Tell me something that I never thought of before. When Cocteau was a young man, very much Andy Warhol, he was the Andy Warhol of his time on the make. He went to see Diaghilev. And he asked Diaghilev what he wanted, and Diaghilev said, astound me. I want to be astounded. I want to be surprised. I want to be amazed. I will not accept banality. I will not accept boredom. I will not accept people standing there looking at me like this, 17 feet tall. That's nothing. That's description. A photographer does not become an artist until he transcends description. Oh my God, it's a full moon. Ooh, I'm growing hair. Ooh, no, it's wonderful. You must transcend description and then grow hair. Okay, Things Are Queer. I used to think of time as being horizontal. And if I look straight ahead, that moon is making me crazy. Woo, woo. And if I look straight ahead, I could see this coming weekend. And if I look behind me, I could see last weekend. But now I can't even see yesterday or tomorrow. The moment of my birth, as I said, is now. The moment of my death is now, and it is not. There is only now, and there's not now. That's amazing. That's totally amazing. And that's what this is. This is all about denying reality. Photographers tell us, photographers are the blind leading the blind. They are the blind. And now we have these talented cameras. They're amazing, talented cameras, but unfortunately we have untalented photographers looking at talented photographers. The cameras are more talented than the photographers. This is called Christ in New York. Christ is sold on television by a religious hypocrite. Jesus loves you, God. I'm a sinner, Jesus. Pass the plate. Christ cries when he sees a young woman who has died during an illegal abortion. Christ eats dog food with an old Ukrainian lady in Brooklyn. Christ is beaten defending a homosexual. Christ sees a woman being attacked, or whether she's being attacked financially, has to wear a burqa, physically, she's still woman as victim. It's disgusting the way women are treated. Really, really disgusting the way women are. Women should be furious. Why aren't you more angry? Women should be. If there's a guy sitting next to you, slap him. Christ is killed by a mugger with a handgun, and the second coming had occurred, and nobody noticed. This is the fallen angel. This is about innocence and the lack of innocence, and the loss of innocence. You know, I want you to think about your mind, okay? I want you to think about where thoughts come from. What are you thinking right now? Pay attention. You know what? Let's do an exercise. I want you to pay attention to that place where your ass is touching on the seat. Are you putting your attention now on your ass? Now, can I put my attention on your ass? Was that good? This is the most beautiful part of a man's body. It must be there. I think it must be there where the torso sits on and into the hips. Those twin delineating curves, feminine in grace, girdling the trunk, guiding the eye downwards to their intersection, the point of pleasure. The most beautiful part of a woman's body. In the oldest dreams of old men, women's breasts still remain long after their desires have turned to dust. They are their first memories, warm, nurturing home, the point of satisfaction, perfect in their gracious arcs. Women wear their breasts of medals, as medals, emblems of their love. All things mellow in the mind, a sleight of hand, a trick of time, and even our great love will fade. Soon we'll be strangers in the grave. That's why this moment is so dear. I kiss your lips and we are here. So let's hold tight and touch and feel. For this quick instant, we are real. The New York Times asked, thank you. The New York Times asked some photographers to do a self-portrait, and I did this one, and it's called I Think About Thinking. My face, it doesn't matter what I look like. I don't care what I look like. Oh, I care what I look like, but I really don't care what I look like. Why should I care what I look like? And anyway, what's interesting about me is my mind and my imagination. Really. And what's interesting about you is your mind and imagination. You just don't know it. Oh, I have a joke. Wait a while. A man, oh, don't look at that. Okay. A man goes into a bar. And on the bar is a large jar filled with $100 bills. And so he said to the bartender, what's with this jar? He said, well, it's a contest. And if you put $100 in the jar, and if you do the three things, you will win the jar. So the man says to himself, that's got to be $10,000 in there. She said, well, what do I have to do? And the fellow said, well, first you have to drink a whole bottle of scotch. Now, oh, the moon's going away. And then you have to, in the backyard, there's a pit bull. And a pit bull, it's a very mean, nasty dog, and it has a tooth that is rotten. And and you have to go and remove the pit bull's tooth. And then the third thing, on the top floor is a 90-year-old lady who's a virgin, and she's dying, and you have to fuck her. So he said, oh, get out of here. No, thank you. But then he has a couple drinks. He says, what the hell? So he puts the $100 in. He drinks the scotch. He goes into the backyard, and you hear this barking and growling and screaming and scratching and that. So then he comes in, and he's got bites on it, and his shirt's ripped, and there's blood in it. And he said to the bartender, bartender, where's this old lady who needs her tooth removed? Boom. My father could walk in the sky. He promised to teach me how, but he left without saying goodbye. I don't cry. I'm a grown-up now. I love that. And it's absolutely true. My father could walk in the sky. And he promised to teach me how, but he left without saying goodbye. I don't cry. I'm a grown-up now. I did a children's book, and that was from the children's book, actually. Anyway, this is called Necessary Things for Making Magic. You need a black hat and a rabbit, a scent of lilies of the valley, the last rose of summer, last year's jacket of pulpit seeds, honey from a bumblebee, the blue of forget-me-nots, amethyst dust, 2 robin's eggs, twigs from a canary's nest, and an old love letter found in a lost book. Necessary things for writing fairy tunes. You need the hum from a hummingbird's nest, the silence of mushrooms, the scent of wild columbines, the roar of the ocean in the seashell, the buzz of yellow jacket, dice for chance, a 4-leaf clover for good luck, cherry juice for writing the notes, and a crystal ball for seeing the notes, seeing the music. This is about being gay. I'm gay. This is about being gay. I hate Maplethorpe. The unfortunate man could not touch the one he loved. It had been declared illegal by the law. Slowly, his fingers became toes, and his hands gradually became feet. He began to wear shoes on his hands to disguise his pain. It never occurred to him to break the law. This is Chance Meeting. New Yorker magazine sent me to Pittsburgh. Well, let me explain. My father was a steel worker in Pittsburgh, in one of those little towns which now died. Andy Warhol came from McKeesport too. Then they got uppity and moved to Pittsburgh. And I'm very fond of Pittsburgh, incidentally. That's my favorite place, after Arles, of course. And so the town literally died, and we sold our house about 25 years ago. So I went back I said to my assistant, let's go see my old house, which is falling down. And I was so amazed, ooh, the moon's back, ooh. And so this is what I did. I did this project. It's a memoir. It's a book called The House I Once Called Home. Now, photographers like these houses. They're very photogenic, but they never knew who lived there. But I did. As a child, I did not understand that I was a prince and that my father was the king. And although we did not live in a castle and father worked in the mill, I began to realize in the realm of my dreams I was the Dauphin. And through my bedroom window I could see a spectacle of turrets and minarets float above the soiled city below like an iridescent mist. My imagination would be both my wand and my scepter, and there would be no boundaries to my domain. And it's absolutely true. My imagination and your imagination, everything is in your head. You put shit in your head, you're going to have a shitty life, and nobody gives a shit. So I photographed the room today, and then I went back and I photographed the same room when we lived there. In this very room, that's the room today. In this very room, on a February afternoon, when Margaret was 20 and Jack was 23, I became to be. Here stood the bed where I first cried and mother bled, and above the bed a cross hung on the wall the day the midwife came to call. And over there a chair where the vanity used to be, its mirrors now scattered everywhere like shards of forgotten memories. My yesterdays are this debris, and I, alas, am 70. That's what it used to look like. Don't read that. This is the old kitchen today. And that's my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather. I'm in the mirror taking their picture. My grandmother died 6 months later. My grandfather died a year later. And then my mother died a few years ago. All gone, all gone. Nice people, all gone. This is the old dining room today. I love these ghost pictures. And that's what it used to look like. I'll tell you what I know. Father lived incognito in his own house. He was a stranger to his spouse. Jack worked 3 shifts in Mr. Carnegie's mill for little pay and smoked 3 packs of Camels every day. Cigarettes were his best friends until they betrayed him in the end. Mother said he was a good man and a good provider. Between Mother and me, he was always the outsider. When he was told that he had been cuckolded, Father went from being an amateur drinker to a professional. Mother took to her confessional. Once I saw him cry. I never thought to ask why. He was already a ghost when he died. It pains me to write this. He was not missed. That's the room today. Mother did not love my father. She loved another. Margaret lived a secret life of melancholy. The life she chose to live was her great folly. For you see, Mother believed that she had sinned. And of course, Catholics don't divorce. Can you imagine that? This woman, she had to get married because of me. I don't care. 1931, women did not have babies without husbands. She married the worst man. I don't think they ever fucked before they met each other. So naive. So she spent her entire life living with somebody that she never loved and who never loved her. In the meantime, she met, 6 months after my father, they got married, she met her great love of her life. And he was our family doctor. And he kept asking my mother to marry him, and she would never do it because of the fucking church. And then he finally died, and we make choices. You see, I did this not because I want to become rich and famous. I didn't do this because I was going to make art. I did this because I had to do it, because I needed to do it. This is the real thing. This is the real thing. And you must find your real thing. You must find your passion. You must find your fear. It's not outside. It's not in Africa. It's not in somebody else. It's in you. And until you have the courage to look in your own heart and in your own mind, you're always going to be imitation. You're going to be secondhand. You're never going to be authentic. As long as you photograph other people's faces, other people's rooms, other people's houses, something you know nothing about. Nothing about. It's presumptuous to pretend that you can say anything about anybody else. You have no knowledge of it. It's not true. But you must find your own truth. It's like going through life, reading 100 love stories, and falling in love. They're 2 different experiences. Photographers are always reading other people's love stories, but they never read the one truth they know something about, and because they don't have the courage. Anyway, do it, okay? I've done many books on different subjects. I never do the same thing twice. I always do something different. I always find something amusing. I always find something interesting. This is the last series. I'm doing a book on this. It's about, I love Hokusai. I love Hiroshige. I love the Japanese. I've collected Japanese prints. And the Japanese did beautiful fans. And then in France and Europe at the turn of the century, there was something called Japanisme. And in Japanisme, Van Gogh left 200 Japanese prints behind. Degas had a whole collection. Monet had, Lautrec even dressed up, and he had a Japanese seal. So I began to do these fan-shaped photographs. Photographs are always squares and rectangles, but I have now changed the shape of the photograph into this fan. And it's very beautiful and very feminine, and I write with it, and somebody once said that when photographers become old, they go back to nature. I have a garden in the country, and I love to garden, and most of these photographs are in the country. So these are the new, it's called Photographs from the Floating World, Ukiyo-e. Ukiyo-e was the average life that everybody led, the real life. And it was called the floating world. I call our world the floating world because I see us like that moon. We're floating this little ball of green life surrounded by rocks and stones. And it's amazing. This little green ball floating in space. And so that's what this is about. I photographed my garden in the 4 seasons. It's called The Colors of My Garden's, whatever. When you have a garden, you're very much in tune with nature. Fascists and killers would never grow a garden. People who tend gardens, they love. Lovers tend gardens. This is called Lux Calme et Volupté, which I got from the Matisse painting, which he got from Baudelaire. The besotted rake sleeps asleep by the cascading stream, drunken dreams of the lovers he will make. I love the idea that somebody's so drunk, even his dreams are drunk. Vincent van Gogh carried a ladder into a field of sunflowers, leaned it against a cloud, and climbed to heaven. Suddenly, a summer shower. I am watered like a flower. I don't regret being wet, because I blossom for an hour. There's a wonderful quote from Shakespeare. He fanned the, I can't read it. He fanned the cobwebs from his sleeping eyes. And then I wrote, on the moon, oh God, a moonlight night. There it is. On a moonlit night such as this, Bottom and Titiana first shared an enchanted kiss. Quack, honk, honk, the sassy geese attack. They're mean and fast and will bite you on the ass. These are morning glories from my garden. I take my Japanese screen in the garden, and the spirit of my mother was happy to see me photograph her roses. Magnus was burned by Solange's fiery mane, singed by a lick of flame. That's French wallpaper. Odine's hair floated into a shell and spilled over its edges into pools of tresses. In the season of their passion, reason surrendered to desire. This is Vasarely. Oops. Deep in the gray of January, I long for the flowers of May, when beauty is too beautiful and will soon go away. A shimmering light like quicksilver, glowing a halo of white flowers. The startled cat sees the ghost of his dead master. And that's all, folks. Thank you.
Duane Michals. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bonsoir.